Hegel, if you're watching this, good job.
Yes, I agree.
Compared to many hi-fi companies in the world, Hegel is quite new. Hegel rose to prosperity in the early 90s. Hegel's approach was to create new tech to eliminate distortion and focus on organic sound. These innovations include the sound engine, the synchro DAC, dual amps, and many more. But do all these translate to a better experience of dynamic audio? It's our turn to find out.
My first encounter with Hegel was in 2016. I believe it was the H80 at that time, and it blew my mind.
Welcome to Hi-Fi. I'm Marcos, this is Kurt. Today we're talking about the new HEGEL H120.
As I was explaining in the beginning part of the video, I still remember that day walking in. It was during CES. I walked into this room, didn't know much about the company, and I said, who are these guys? I remember they were running it off a pair of Musiccal S1 speakers, which is pretty difficult to drive. When I was listening to it, I thought I was listening to their pre-power amp, and then I found out it was one of their first entry integrators at the time, which retailed about $1,800, and it was driving a pair of speakers 5 times its price. With a speaker that difficult and the sound quality that I was getting, that's when I truly started to fall in love with this brand.
At first glance, the H120 features Hegel's classic minimalistic design. Your source selection volume control knob, headphone jack, which is actually really nice, and your power button just below. It also comes in black and white. I find the white really pops in our room.
Yeah, this new introduction in white, because they didn't have it in a lot of the products before, it is a nice addition. I can see it working with both, like if you want to pop in your room, if you have a little bit darker colors, or even if you have like a more contemporary design, it would just fit in.
The Hegel H120 features 75 watts a channel into 8 ohm, minimum load of 2 ohms, also a damping factor of over 2,000. Features coax, optical, and USB inputs, a balance, and 2 RCA inputs. Also featuring AirPlay, Spotify Connect, and you can also use it to control your UPnP server. And it's also Roon ready, meaning in the future, it will be able to run Roon.
Hopefully sometime soon.
You get all of this for $3,600 Canadian.
Just to touch about damping factor, for in case the people that don't, I don't want to get too technical, but it's the ability to drive the speaker. The higher the damping factor, the better is the ability to basically push the driver back out and pull it back in. And the result is a lot more resolution in the bass and a lot more dynamics too as well. I'll have to say the fit and finish, it doesn't seem the most high end. It is built really well, but I think it's because it's so clean. It doesn't have all these metal parts and industrial look to it to make it feel high end. Sound is a different story. The display on there, it's really easy to read and very crisp looking.
Overall, the H120 performed extremely well. The control on the bass is definitely market leading at its price point. The higher frequencies are really nice and airy, nicely detailed as well, and it had this almost analog sound to it.
I knew you would like the bass, just because of who you are. It's probably one of the best in this price range. One thing I really like about this company, it really lets its tech speak for itself. And the proof is when you're listening to it. And not only when you're listening to it, the fact that this can drive some of the most difficult speakers out there. You know, a lot of my previous clients before that had Magnepan speakers was very known to be difficult to drive. This thing was able to drive it with ease, and one of the only amplifiers at that price point that can. I won't go over it, or we won't go over it in this video. It's just, we can actually make a whole other video just about what HEGEL is doing. There are a bunch of mad scientists out there, but it just let you know there's so much involved in this. The overall sound presentation and soundstage for a solid state, it reminds me a little bit tube-like. I don't want to go as far as like to try to mimic a tube or anything like that, but it really does. It's got this three-dimensional image when you're listening to it. Also too as well, for those though that are looking for something that maybe a little bit more exciting, this is definitely, I would say, a little bit more polite sounding amplifier. It's not that it's purposely tuned down or anything like that, but it definitely is not your amplifier that's like, come listen to me, you know, and really where everything just sparkly on top.
When it came to our classic dB volume test, the H120 performed quite nicely. At the 60 decibel range, around normal talking conversation level, the H120 presented really nicely. Nice control over the bass and the nice airy highs. It was a really nice presentation.
We also tried it at around 45 dBs, between 45 to 50 dBs, just to see what it really can do, because I was such impressed by what its capability at those low volumes, and it really, really impressed. Everything from even the texturing of the bass and the mids and the highs, you can really pick it up at super low levels.
When it came to high volume listening, the H120 did not disappoint, hitting a peak around 90 to 93 decibel and still keeping its composure really well.
At 93 decibels, you know, with a speaker sensitivity of 87 decibels, that is quite impressive. You know, you can go, if you want to get a little bit more SPLs, definitely just look for a speaker that's a little bit more sensitive. I'll say that once we are reaching it on these speakers at about 92 dBs, that is its limit. One of the things at a very high level is still its composure in the bass. When we were running off some Monitor Audio Bronze that we will be testing pretty soon, which is quite a larger speaker, the 500, when we were doing our fun little dB test there, I could not believe what we reached. I think we reached about 102 decibels, and the bass, you can see it in the video, it's just unbelievable control.
For a 75 watt per channel amp, it seems like it's got so much more power than that, hitting SPLs that high. When it came to listening to music on the H120, as usual, we always listen to a whole bunch of genres. Well, there are two tracks that really popped out for us. The first track, Andre Sabota, Triangle. I love this track. It's very dancey. It sounds very airy to me. On the H120, what I noticed was an awesome bass control. The bass was very detailed, really nice and tight.
In this recording, you can tell they were trying to create this big like hall and stadium feel. It reminded me of John Wick Chapter 2 when he enters that stadium. Just this presence and this feeling that it created. It was a really unique effect. Even though it was like there's a lot of course, synthesized information in here. The drums, what it reminded me, it was like they kind of made that was center stage. It was really neat. Making center stage, it was really impactful. And what they did is with that whole feeling of when I was talking about that stadium, it's like they were surrounded in it. And in this speaker, because it is this amplifier, because it creates this illusion of this kind of holographicness in there, you can picture that feeling of that of being surrounded in a stadium and got the main drummer playing in the middle.
Second song we thought really stood out was Jazz at the Pawn Shop, the song called High Life. With this song, there's so much going on. It's really got something for everyone. What I really liked about this song was the xylophone. You could tell it was a little bit deeper in the stage, and it just sounded so lifelike. When we listened to it, you close your eyes, I could just see it playing.
You know, when you talk about music and systems that take you back, this one I can almost picture like you were in that jazz club full of just smoke and cigar smell and just everywhere. It really neat how it created that feeling. And I think a lot of to do is like kind of like that ghost images I was talking about. This amplifier did a really good job. When I listen to a lot of jazz, I really prefer using tubes. You know, HEGEL at this price range, what it was able to do, that similar feeling, it really created it and it helped really make this song just a little bit too much to kind of go through about why I love listening to this, why I love listening to this track. There's so many elements, but one that really struck out is on the tambourine. There was so much presence in there, and it's like somebody was shaking it in their room, and you can picture it on an amplifier like this, and paired with a good speaker, you can picture them shifting from one side to the other. It was a really amazing effect. And another really cool thing was when we went into the drum solo. There was just the weight and the body from the attack and the decay, and this feeling of that organicness, like how you mentioned too as well. You know, at this range, it blew me away.
We recommend the H120 for a small to medium-sized room. Bookshelf speakers up to a efficient tower will power it really well. We also recommend it for musicians who really want to pick apart every single instrument in a track. It really shines at that. You can tell what everybody is playing.
When it comes to choosing what kind of speakers, I would just say, choose on the flavor of the speakers that you like, because this thing can really drive anything. From what I've tried it from everything from EMC, which I really like that match, with Wharfdale, Donna Audio, pretty much everything. Kef, there's just, like, I can't think of very many that didn't work. So just pick a speaker that's your flavor.
Thanks for watching our video on the new HEGEL H120. If you own a HEGEL, we'd love to hear from you. Write us your story in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.